Three strong men from the East rise from the ashes of censorship and cancel culture. Getting to the bottom of that just got a whole lot weirder.
I looked at you and said, repeat that. You said, I've got to get to the bottom of that. We have liftoff.
Check out what's coming up on today's episode.
Unless you're dumb.
So yes, you can. So scientists, this caused a lot.
But that's under the assumption that the fossil that they found was a dinosaur, correct? So that's under the assumption that that fossil they found was a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you know that?
Because it was a part of a triceratops horn, which they uncovered the entire triceratops face and horn.
Oh, they did?
No,
they did.
stop
What
it.
if it was like a rhino?
I don't believe any of that, man. None of that.
See?
Triceratops? Bro.
You're trying to fit it in your own paradigm, bud.
Bro, you just no,
Wait a minute.
man. You just talked about the Earth opening up and going into the middle of the, and you're saying that mine is whack?
Wait a minute.
No, let's think about it logically. Where would
So
the
you're
water
saying
go?
is this on the documentary?
It's on documentary.
The Triceratops? Okay,
Yeah,
I gotta go
it's a
find.
big
I gotta
one.
watch this. Hey guys, real quick before we start the show, wanted to let you know kind of how we do things around here, how we do the podcast. If you've ever wanted to make a podcast, we use Spotify. Spotify's got a platform that lets you make a podcast really, really easy, and then they let you distribute it everywhere and even earn some money if you want a little change, ching in your pocket. And they do it all in one place, and it's for free. That's the exciting part. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. They let you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or your computer, and then they'll let you distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. And if you want to take your conversations to the next level, they have really cool features like Q&A and polls, and those are the things that really get people and your fans talking about things. So with Spotify for Podcasters, you can also earn money, including ads and podcast subscriptions, and the best of all, like I said, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I've discovered it, I feel like the options of the Q&A and the video options and the polls has really let me take the creativity of my podcasting to another level. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. Dice Man Enterprises exclusively presents a talk show that will get to the bottom of things once and for all. And now here's your host for Let's Get to the Bottom of That, Three Weirdos on a Mic.
Yeah! Three weirdos on a mic now. Let's get to the bottom of that. Jason, Joey, Byron is fat. Yeah. Woo! Welcome into another edition of Let's Get to the Bottom of That. I'm your host, Byron Dice. In studio, I have Jason and Joey.
Hello.
Hello.
Yo.
We are making up the Three Weirdos on a Mic. Thanks for joining us. It's been a crazy week, but we're here for it. I'd like to start out the show. By the way, this is episode 53. Today we're going to talk about evolution versus creation. Which one do you believe in and which one is true? That's a good one. From our Facebook page, out of Rachel Perry.
Rachel Perry.
Give us a comment. She said, I'd like to apply for a job on your show.
You're hired.
My title would be pronunciation assistant. This could work in one of two ways. You could go ahead and pronounce the word. I could whisper the correct pronunciation in your ear, or you could point to the word or whatever you're reading from before saying it, and I could quietly say it to you before you pronounce it correctly. Love you guys.
You're hired.
I think we would still pronounce it wrong.
Probably.
We'd be like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
But at least we'd have somebody on staff that's trying to help us.
yeah,
Make a difference.
It'd be a little bit more.
We can pay you in candy or
Oh,
water,
absolutely,
free
yeah.
water bottles,
Yeah.
Free water.
We
Yeah,
got
yeah,
water.
yeah.
maybe an energy drink once or twice.
I don't know. That's
I don't
That's a
know.
little too much.
That's too much. I don't want to promise.
Well, welcome back,
Can't
guys.
make promises I can't keep.
You can't?
no.
You can't make any
Hey,
promises.
inflation. Things are expensive these days.
I don't know how I'm going to
Yeah,
feel.
thanks, Biden.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know how you're going to feel about what?
I don't know how I'm one of those guys that I'll like say something.
And
I'm gonna hang on 1 second.
That's his favorite soundbite.
It is. I'm one of those guys that
Okay,
I'll.
sorry, we had enough of that last week. Sorry.
I'm one of those guys. I'll make a promise when I'm feeling good about something.
Yeah.
And then like when it gets down to it, I'm tired. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I do that?
So you regret the promise made?
Oh yeah.
gotcha.
But I'm a man of my word.
Yeah, so I am too. So then I will either, if I know somebody that's sick, I'd be like, man, you're sick? Great.
Yeah.
Can I get sick? And then I get sick, and then I happen to be sick. I didn't lie.
Yeah.
I'm just sick now.
You're just going out in the streets drinking after people with
Yeah,
tuberculosis
absolutely.
because
Wow.
you don't want to do that thing that bad.
Just licking the handrail.
I get that, man.
That's why I got COVID. I was like, I don't want to go to work.
I'm a little sleepy.
I hope I get it.
No, I'm just kidding. Or am I?
I don't know. I think there's a little truth to every joke.
Oh, well, sure.
No, I don't think so.
I think so. That's why it's
No.
funny. That's what makes it funny.
I mean, some jokes, like, not all jokes.
let's-
Knock jokes, I don't know.
Let's look at the
Well, no one likes
the
those.
master, George Carlin.
Okay.
Everything he's what?
Who is that?
Oh gosh, please, y'all go down the rabbit.
I know George Carlin.
George.
but,
Everything he said was true, and it was hilarious.
Is he a country singer?
No, he's a
no, are you
comedian.
serious? Are you being serious right now?
I don't know who that is.
Dude? No, he's a comedian.
I don't watch comedians.
He was 70. You just mentioned comedy.
I am a comedian, but I don't watch.
I
comedians.
don't watch.
I don't want to steal.
Who is this guy?
I don't
Some
want to
comedian.
Steal
Who is this
people's
guy?
Stuff, man.
Some comedian.
Some jokester, dude.
All right.
What a
let's-
jokester.
We're all kind of jokesters in our own way.
I always try to make a joke, make everything light.
My life is one big comedy. Name that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
The Joker. It's from The Joker.
Well,
All right, let's get started, guys.
Today we have.
Really?
I'm not sure where anybody of our listeners, anybody. So you already need your help, Rachel. I'm not sure where our listeners will land on this subject. But if you've listened to this show at any length of time,
At any moment.
you would know that we are all three born again Christians,
Yeah.
Bible believing, tongue talking, Bible thumping,
Well, I'm not a Bible
weed
thumper.
smoking. Oh wait, I didn't.
No.
You don't want to thump people.
DMT taking,
Oh,
child of God.
there you go.
Child of
Okay.
God.
So we,
Adrenal
of
chrome
course, are
denying.
going to come at this topic from the
Perspective.
creation. Now, I know Joey believes in evolution hardcore.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's the hill I'll
But
die
we're
on.
gonna be talking.
Right,
And
so if we-
already I'm biased.
Yeah,
because,
so if we sound a little biased, it's because we are.
because we already know the truth.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna try my darndest
Not to be biased.
Okay,
to not be biased.
I like that.
That's, but that,
I
So
do
that's
love-
Joey's job during this podcast.
I do love being the devil's advocate. Absolutely.
Let's do that.
And a lot of my notes have really
Really good
information
questions.
for both. So we'll see what happens, man.
okay,
let's-
here we go, Joey.
let's start-
God's real. Change my mind.
God's real.
Change my mind.
Let's start really quick with some definitions. Collins.com says evolution is a process of gradual change that takes place over many generations, during which species of animals, plants, and insects slowly change some of their physical characteristics. Collins.com. Also got another one from Britannica.com. Maybe you've heard of Britannica. They used to have an encyclopedia set. My grandparents had one. They were huge. But they sold them. No, I think they gave them away. That's neither here nor there. Evolution theory in biology, postulating that the various types of plants, animals, and other living things on Earth have their origin in other pre-existing types, and that the distinguishable differences are due to modifications in successive generations. The theory of evolution is one of the fundamental keystones of modern biology theory.
Yeah.
That's from Britannica. Okay, maybe you heard, if you're out there, one of our listeners, have heard of this. Does this sound familiar? Earth is millions of years old. Adam was not a real person. Humans evolved from ape-like ancestors. Genesis doesn't matter. It's just the New Testament.
Sure.
If you believe in creation, you don't believe in science.
Right.
I believe in science.
Yeah.
Do y'all? Okay. So, from where we're coming from, creation is the belief in God's holy word that the world that, as we know, was created in 6 days. When we accept God's word as it is written, we have a surefire starting point for reasoning about the world, including its difficult questions. Now, if you believe in evolution, this is where you have to come from, and you have to deal with this on your level. You have to believe in the scientific impossibility that nothing created something.
Right.
You have to, if that's what you want to do, you have to come to those grips right there.
So, yeah, so you still have to make a leap of faith and believe in a okay, for example, Richard Dawkins says, hey, you know, for a grown person to believe in creation, it's a leap of faith, and also it's believing in a fairy tale, okay?
Right.
But you also have to make the same leap believing that something came from nothing.
Right.
I mean, because consciously that doesn't make sense.
Well, it's scientifically
logically
impossible.
that logically, scientifically impossible, something from nothing. So you still have to make that same leap. It's just, where do you want to make it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the theory of evolution, here's what they claim, that all the amazing complexity that we see through creation comes about through undirected process by means of random mutation, natural selection. So supposedly if a mutation, which is basically a copying error, so it made an error in copying stuff, it occurs in the genes and it happens to give the creature some benefit, then this benefit is passed on to its offspring through the process of natural selection. And if this is truly possible, we shouldn't have any problem in seeing plenty of evidence of this taking place today.
And that's the macro version of evolution, correct?
So
yes,
that right there, I believe in evolution, not evolution, evolution.
Evolution,
Somebody
the
help
church.
me.
We need
North Carolina evolution.
What's her name?
I can't even talk.
Yeah, Rachel Perry.
We need Rachel Perry. Sit on the show.
All right, dude, we got to get some Skittles in here to pay this woman. get some freeze dried candy. Anyway, you can definitely see basically proof for a sort of evolution.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
So you can see. I mean, Darwin did it, right? Darwin sat on an island. He saw the beaks of the birds changing, and he created this whole theory of evolution based off what he saw.
Sure.
Right. So that is tangible evidence that species will change to the environments that they're in, and you know, whether that's a copying error or something like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like there is proof to that. Like one of my teachers in school explained it to me like this: like if you, what are you doing, bro? You throwing stuff?
I'm throwing stuff.
Your shoes off, man.
I'm chilling, bro. What are you talking about?
I saw that last time too. Your shoes are off. I'm like, this guy's comfortable.
Yeah, will you rub my feet while you're under there?
I'm leaned back. I'm talking about some evolution right now.
All right.
So anyway, she explained it to me like this, dude. If you live in, let's say we live in a swamp,
Okay.
right? And you live in a swamp, and I've got normal human feet, okay? Me walking through a swamp is going to significantly slow me down. It's going to prevent me from escaping danger, blah-da-dee, blah-da-doo. Now, let's say I have an offspring where, for whatever reason, he's born with peg legs, and he's more efficiently able to move through the swamp area. Yep. He's more efficiently able to get through there. He has kids. They have peg legs. This is a terrible example.
No, that's a good. This is a perfect example because I'm going to pick.
I already got your argument. I already got your argument for this. When you're done.
Okay. Well, that's my argument.
Oh,
that person's going to survive more than me. I'm going to get caught by an alligator. My limbs are going to be ripped off.
The death row.
I'm going to be drowned, slaughtered, dead. And everyone who has feet like me is going to die in that way because we can't simply survive in that environment. All right, but next.
Okay, what you're describing is adaptation, not
Adaptation.
evolution.
Right.
So talking about the bird's beaks and all that.
Adaptation. Go.
Talking about the bird's beak and the foot swamp in the feet.
Yeah.
That it may be adaptation, but you didn't evolve into a different species.
Exactly.
You stayed the same kind. A bird didn't change into a cat.
So yeah, that's the difference
cat didn't change into a dog.
Yeah, and that's the difference between the micro and the macro evolution concept. So macros, you're not jumping from species to species. You're not turning into a fish. You're not turning into some kind of bird or some kind of halvesy, right? There's adaptations. Microevolution is adaptations. Hey, you know what? This
cold environment, something had to happen so they could survive.
I mean,
I get that.
I mean, it happens. I mean, I was watching one YouTube channel. I think it was Joe Rogan. Shout out to Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
But they were watching. Or I was watching this scientist or this gentleman that goes out into the jungle with these tribes, and their toes were spread apart.
Further.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, tremendously. So they
swamp feet.
Yeah, that was the concept. So the reason why their toes were spread out so far apart is because they could latch on to the mud, the sinking dirt easier and walk more efficient without having to burn all those calories. Because if we did it on our little dainty feet, we would burn more calories, we exhausted, and we wouldn't be able to travel far. That's why we have those small adaptations for survivability.
Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah. Right.
There you have it.
He just referenced Bilbo.
I did.
Bilbo.
Oh, wait, that's you. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I got y'all crossed.
He doesn't know.
You're Star Wars and you're Lord of the... Okay, gotcha.
Still wrong.
What's going on here?
You said you pointed to him for Star Wars.
I know. You're Star Wars.
Yeah,
you're
Star
Lord of
Wars.
the Rings. Okay. Yeah. And y'all haven't crossed the streams yet.
But anyway, yes.
Anyway,
yes.
Bilbo Baggins.
Macro evolution. I think you have it in your notes.
Well, let's talk about that. At first, it's important, and this is kind of what you're talking about. It's species do change over time by adaptation. Yeah. Let's take a dog, for instance. They have a tiny Chihuahua to a huge Great Dane. So there's a small scale variation within a kind. They're sometimes called microevolution. But note, nothing new comes into being or evolves in microevolution. These dogs have incredible differences, but they're still dogs.
Yeah.
There are tremendous variations among humans. Think about, you have features from Asian to Africa to Aboriginal to Caucasian. And I did note this. This is weird. I'm a Caucasian, and there's Asian. I never recognized this. There's Asian in the word Caucasian.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an Asian, but I'm a Caw.
Wow. You're an Indian of Cherokee and Choctaw.
Anyway, but see, we're all within the same species, Homo sapiens. So Darwin's theory of evolution is based on the concept of macro. This is the inference that small changes seen in adaptation can accumulate and lead to large changes over long periods of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So like one kind of creature, such a reptile can come and turn into like a bird, requiring the creation of an entirely new feature and new body type. This would be like observing a car going from 0 to 60 in 60 seconds, and then inferring that car can go 6,000 miles per hour in 100 minutes. Yeah. And then while it did that, it can become an airplane in the process.
And so the argument with that is...
It's illogical.
The argument with that to the pro-evolutionists is that these changes don't happen, over time. And that's why the time span would be, 63 million years. Over the span of 63 million years, this fish turned into Joey. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And we didn't see it.
Right. And we didn't see it. Or we saw it if we were to look at time, at that scope, then we would see these changes. And that fish would jump to a salamander. That salamander would jump to a Komodo dragon, and then that would jump into
crocodile. Yeah,
yeah, and then keep on, and then to a bird, and then to
a velociraptor.
Right.
Well, not only that, but this is all based upon. In a lot of my notes, it's based upon an old world, essentially, an old Earth, and not only that, but it's based upon constants. So they're basically planning on the few thousand years that we've been basically studying our Earth. They're planning on the Earth being the exact same, and it has to be the exact same
for this model to work.
So for their what they see is the modern state of decay, everything around us, all the scientific constraints and stuff that we live in now. They take that model and then they expand it over how much time would it take in the given world that we live in for these things to happen. that's where they get that idea that this evolution takes thousands and thousands and millions of years. But it all goes off of the constraint that we live in now. So what throws a wrench into this plan is, especially being a creationist, is we believe that the earth was significantly different from what we live in now. I mean, there's a lot of evidence to that, but we'll get to that in my notes, man. You can continue on with yours.
Well, I think that the essence of Darwinism basically lies in a single phrase, that natural selection is the creative force of evolutionary change. Now, no one denies that selection will play a negative role in eliminating the unfit, but Darwinism, his theory, requires that it creates the fit as well. So everything changes.
Yeah.
The natural selection. I don't know if you want to hit radiometric dating, or do you want to start at the top of your notes, or even because that's my next jumping point is radiometric dating.
What is that?
Let me see.
Well, basically, it's they do dating that shows rocks that are millions of years old.
Right.
And does that work? No. Because it requires the assumption about the content of the original rock and the decay rate in the past. And the Bible is clear about the Earth's age. It's thousands of years, not millions.
I don't believe that, though.
You don't believe in thousands of years?
No.
Well, here's the thing.
I'll prove you wrong.
God took great care.
Prove me right.
I'm going to prove
Well, I'm
you
going to
wrong.
here. I'll tell you. God took great care to include the necessary chronological detail of the universe's creation
Okay.
in 6 literal days, as well as the unbroken genealogy from Adam to Jesus. So he took very great care and to let you, the human that's here right now, to know I have absolutely no doubt that the earth has only been around 6,000 years.
Yeah. So I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I don't think it's thousands of years. And Joey's gonna be here in a minute to change my mind, which is fine.
Change
I'm
my
open
mind.
Okay.
to that.
You said you believe in thousands of years?
No, I don't believe that the Earth is thousands of years.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
let me drop some.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, whoa.
Slow down
So
there.
we're talking about radiometric dating.
Yeah, I don't.
Date radios, so
Yeah,
I'm just throw that out there.
yeah.
Go ahead.
TV killed the radio star, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was I saying? Okay, yeah, I don't think it's thousands of years.
Okay.
And yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I was going to say if you disagree with that, you're actually you're trying to get your thought process outside of the Word of God.
Yeah.
No, because the interpretation, a lot of people, a lot of Christians interpret that creation was in 7 days, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Jewish scholars that don't.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a matter of whether this is wrong or this is right. In my perspective, it's just that's not an essential thing for me.
Yeah.
Right. So it's I
so you
choose
said
to
that's not
leave
going
that
to break
open.
my faith.
Yeah, I choose to leave that open.
Okay.
Whether it was 1,000 years or 10
Or
million
million.
years, doesn't matter.
Okay. Well,
Because if it's
let me tell you. I'll say it does matter, and I'll read this to you, because what we're talking about is radiometric dating, and the reason that it is contrary to Scripture is because many geologists, they claim that the radiometric clocks show that rock is millions of years old. However, to read any clock, billions. To read any clock accurately, you have to know where the clock was set at the beginning, at the very beginning. You have to know that.
Yeah.
It's like making sure the hourglass clock, when you turn it over, that all the sand is at the top of the bowl before it starts.
right.
So you have to make sure that is in place. So there's no geologist at present day that was present when the Earth and all the rock layers were formed.
Sure, but
Nobody.
we're going on side topic here. But the reason what I'm saying is this.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is because they're saying it's millions, and we're saying there's no way you have no
billions.
You have billions, millions. What I'm saying is they think it's that way, so
Because
it's
of
contrary to Scripture So it's nice to lay that foundation to go, no, you can't because you weren't there.
Right, but that's just saying like we don't know. Okay, here's my my argument, and then we can move on.
Okay.
We know that the universe is millions of years old. The universe. Now, I'm not saying.
How do we know that?
Light.
I don't know that.
Light.
The constant of light.
Yeah, light. We know the mathematical equation to figure out the distance from one star to another. So if a star is millions of years of light years away, we can there's a mathematical equation that is set up in the laws of physics so we can determine that. And we can determine the speed of light, and we can determine the distance, and then we can determine the time. That's how we know the length or the time.
Yeah, what you're saying is the galaxies that we can see, because of the time that it takes for the light to hit us, we're seeing its past.
Right.
That's what he's saying. We're seeing past universe.
That's
what it
something that
looks
we
like.
can't refute. We can't, because just like if I turn the flashlight on right now and hits that wall, we can calculate that. That's the same way we can do with the stars. Anyway, so to my point is this. If we know how long the universe is roughly been around, I just don't think it was just sitting there without anything. I think the Earth was created then. That's my opinion. Go Joey.
All right. So
back to you, Joey.
Here we go. Okay. So one thing I want to hit on is
don't hit me.
Not you. Okay. So basically one of the things I want to hit on is like the paradigm. So paradigm is basically the way that you are interpreting information is what a paradigm is. Okay. So if you are under the paradigm that it is an old Earth, so this being the age of the Earth, an older view, the Earth is estimated to be about 4.5 billion years old, Byron.
Okay. Billion.
Based on radiometric dating of rocks and minerals, the studies of Earth's geological processes, and evidence of the astronomy, right? That's what you're talking about.
Right.
The perspective aligns with the scientific consensus of the age of the universe, which is estimated to be approximately 13.8 billion years old, based on observations of cosmic microwave background radiation and expansion of the universe. Again, light of the stars. Old Earth proponents generally accept the theory of evolution as the best explanation for the diversity of light. Trying to skim through, so we're getting through the nitty-gritty stuff here.
Just an idiot.
And then the young Earth view. So that's personally what I have. So I believe that the age of the Earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old. Young Earth proponents also argue for a younger universe, typically less than 10,000 years old, based on the similar text, basically. When we reject the theory of evolution, okay? So, with that being said, those are the two views. So those are the two paradigms that, society is going to look through, whether that's
young Earth, old Earth,
biblical or scientific.
Sure.
Okay? So, I'm going to go into some of the science here from science websites.
I believe in science.
On how basically carbon dating works and radiometric dating works.
Sure.
And then we can talk about the faults in it, okay? So we talked about radiometric dating. It's a fundamental method used to determine the age of rocks and minerals. Most widely used radiometric dating method for the Earth is uranium leaded dating. This technique involves measuring the ratio of isotopes, uranium, and lead in certain minerals, such as zircon crystals found in the Earth crust, by measuring the radioactive decay of uranium isotopes into lead isotopes.
Sheesh.
Scientists can calculate the age of the minerals and, by extension, the age of the Earth. Okay?
No.
So
I can't.
Right. I don't think that's accurate at all. Yeah, I don't think radioactive.
It's all about the clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
So we've heard I didn't know this until I started researching, but carbon dating is different than radiometric dating.
Right.
Okay. Carbon dating is basically used in a nutshell for organic materials. That's going to be your bone, tissues, wood, and charcoal. It says right there, and it's only really, they say, quote unquote, accurate for up to 50,000 years. Okay. So they're not able to really give us the age of anything beyond
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah.
So we're going back to that radiometric dating, which is basically assuming that, like I said earlier, that everything has been constant for 13.8 billion years.
Yeah.
Okay.
The rate of the clock.
The rate of the clock. Everything has to
Nothing
stay
changed.
Nothing changed, which is ridiculous.
You don't. Yeah.
So
we don't know. Yeah.
So, I mean,
Right.
even the creation of the universe was off of something completely random, and they're gonna try to say that after 13.8 billion years, nothing else random happened.
Yeah, then it was complete order.
That it was complete order from there.
Doesn't make sense.
Gotcha.
It's ridiculous, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, what is carbon dating? Like I said, it's a type of radiocarbon dating. It's only up to 50,000 years. Carbon exists in 3 isotopic foams, C12, C13, and stable C14 being radioactive. But the one thing that I wanted to explain to you here is that when an organism dies, it's number 3. When an organism dies, it stops taking in carbon, including C14. At this point, the radioactive C14 atoms within the tissues begin to decay into nitrogen at a known rate called the half-life. The half-life of C14 is approximately 5,730 years, which means that after this time, half of the C14 originally will be decayed. So, with that being said, all organic stuff after about 12,000 years will be gone.
Sure.
100%.
Right.
Okay?
We don't know. Right. We don't know anything happens after that.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they can't really use carbon dating beyond that point.
Right.
Okay. And if they find any tissue, like there's been, and I've got a couple in my notes here. If they find tissue on a dinosaur bone, and obviously the argument that evolutionists will say, or old earthers will say, is, oh, that means that, everything must have been perfect to preserve this dinosaur bone
At that time.
Yeah, extended out from 12,000 years to the millions. No,
Sure.
it's impossible. It's scientifically impossible.
Well, why do you say it, or why do we say that? But aren't these scientists that are saying this?
Yeah, there's.
Why can't they go, hey, wait a minute, that's scientifically impossible since I'm a scientist?
there are some that are doing that.
Yeah.
So,
But if you don't go,
But how about, and I'm talking about the ones that aren't saying it.
because if there's a consensus, right?
They just believe it where they're not.
predominant scientists, then it's considered.
So they just believe it because there's a consensus, even though
it's
in their mind they're like,
But that's with everything. Like for a long time, we thought the world was flat.
round.
Flat, right? For all those flat earthers out there, and that was consensus, right? And then for the longest time, we thought that fluoride was good for your teeth.
Yeah.
And now look,
now that's what we're talking about.
Right. Now we're bathing in toxic waste.
But what you'll notice.
Oh, and we use the sun. Wait a minute. We used to go around the sun. No, the sun used to go around the earth.
yeah.
We believe that too.
What you'll notice in a lot of this like scientific theory is they will come up with like I said, a mental paradigm, and then they'll just come up with excuses on how to make that work.
Oh.
Even though their own science.
So they'll have a model, but whatever they come up has to fit in here.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
So I'll get to that. But essentially, you talk about the half-life of decay. You talk about, it's breaking down.
Wasn't that a video game? Half-Life?
Probably.
State of Decay.
Okay.
State of Decay. It was a fantastic game.
So I touched on a little bit of carbon dating. There's been numerous times where it's been proven to be inaccurate. It's just not a significant source of really dating anything. But the one that I bolded down there, I know I'm kind of hitting on dinosaurs a lot, but a lot of people
the Shroud of Turin's up there.
Everyone tries to say dinosaurs are 28 million years old, something like that.
Yeah.
So,
extinct.
I mean, I don't even believe in dinosaurs, so there's that.
Well, what about the one that had it was embedded in the ember? It had the mosquito and had the blood of a dinosaur in it?
That's Jurassic Park, bro.
Oh, okay.
It's a great movie.
Oh,
It's a great movie.
That
Radio
was true.
says that, okay, so this is another one that they quote unquote say proves carbon dating. Right?
Okay.
So radiocarbon is generally not used to date dinosaur fossils because they are typically considered to be much older, right? So
yeah.
They're
so
working
it's outside
out of
that window.
They're working out of that paradigm. Like, oh, no, this isn't the case, right? The range of carbon-14, which remember that carbon-14
Only has 12,000.
12,000 years, right? So in some cases, reports of radiocarbon dating results on dinosaur bones have been published suggesting ages much lower or much younger than expected. These results are often met with skepticism by the scientific community, of course, with concerns about contamination or analytical issues. So again, they're met with a proof. They're like, no, we already know that the universe is 13.8 billion years old and dinosaurs are 28 million. So all of this facts that's coming out to the age of these things, it can't be true.
Oh,
because
gotcha.
they're working out of that
They got to
paradigm.
fit in that model.
They have to fit it in their model of the old Earth. Same thing with evolution. It's all based on constants. It's all based on everything being the same. The Earth is this many years old. This will survive for that long. If like their constraints for there being tissue within bones is that, like I said,
Yeah, that's weird.
it was preserved, right?
And they have found tissue in bones?
Yeah, I got it in there. Give us a second, dude. We'll get
What
to
about,
it.
have you ever heard these stories where somebody dug up some bones in the backyard? They're like, hey, he's carbon dated.
Yeah,
And they found out it was an old cow bone.
Yeah.
cow bone.
Just, have you heard those stories?
Yeah, I have. It's now that we're sidetracking. I'm gonna sidetrack too. Did you know if you bury a relative, a close relative on your
Yes.
on your property, you don't have to pay. What is it? Property tax?
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's a funeral. Or it's
Cemetery.
yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Trump did
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
My guy, dude.
with his ex-wife.
Did he really?
Yeah, on one of his properties.
Nice, dude.
I know.
That's thinking ahead right there.
Yeah.
So,
So
they're going
anyway,
to find
so-
those bones and find some tissue.
I'm
Now,
not
this
saying
is
go out
14
and kill any of your relatives so you get.
Yeah, the property.
That's what I,
By
that's
the
what I
way,
heard.
That's where you went.
And my brain was like, "Whoa,
I'm
I
glad
couldn't
you.
make that
I'm
happen."
glad you said that because my property taxes are outrageous.
Unbelievable. Anyway,
It's unreal.
So
And they'll dig up those bones and say they were 14 million years old.
So that raised another question. So I was again in my notes. I said scientists stick to the old Earth due to the mental paradigm of the old Earth. So they're again trying to fit it in. So with the given age of the dinosaurs being longer than 50,000 years in science,
Yeah.
how do they date them? Because carbon dating doesn't work past that point.
How do
Okay.
So and a bone is organic material. So how do they physically do that? So what they use is radiometric dating, which we've talked about before. So radiometric dating only works on rocks, right? So what you can see there is this method is commonly used to date. So, okay, let me just read from the top. Dinosaur bones themselves do not contain radioactive isotopes suitable for radiometric dating because bones are primarily composed of minerals that do not undergo radioactive decay. However, the sedimentary rocks in the dinosaur fossils are found often contain volcanic ash or minerals that can be dated using radiometric techniques. So, this method is commonly used to date volcanic rocks associated with dinosaur fossils. It measures the state of decay of potassium isotopes, the argon-40 isotopes, by dating the volcanic layers above and below the fossils. Scientists can estimate the age of the dinosaur remains. Okay?
Okay.
So remember that. That's they're aging the material around it, the rocks, that sort of thing.
Sure.
The rocks
and they're
around the
getting
bone.
these age. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
then I was like, interesting.
Just like the amber
Sure.
in the mosquito.
Why
blood.
don't we have? I mean, obviously, there's not an influx of fossilization because in order to create a fossil, everything has to go perfectly.
Okay.
Literally everything. I'll read something.
And what you mean is, you're talking about a structure of a bone, a skeleton.
Yeah.
Like normal circumstances, like out in the cemetery, we go up and dig up a grave that's been there 200 years. There's going to be nothing in there.
There's gonna be nothing in there. It's gonna
But
be
there is a
completely gone.
certain circumstance where that bone would be there.
Yeah.
And what is that?
So
Wow.
I know we're getting real
question.
nitty gritty.
That is a good question.
The process of fossilization, where organic materials are gradually replaced by minerals, is extremely slow and can take a very long time. This time it takes for a fossil to form depends on various factors, including the type
Okay.
of organism, environmental conditions, and the specific mineralization process. Here's a general idea of the time frames. Okay, so here's what is required for a fossil to be made.
Okay, here we go.
When an organism dies, it needs to be quickly buried by sediments, such as mud or sand,
Sure.
to protect
Okay.
it from scavengers. Once buried, the soft tissues of the organism start to decay and microbial activity begins. During this stage, bones, shells, and other hard parts of the organism may retain intact, but the organic material is gradually broken down. This stage can last months to several years, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sitting here thinking, wow, the casket, we really did ourselves in, didn't we?
yeah, we did.
We
did.
buried ourselves in the mud.
Yeah.
No remains.
No remains.
See you later. After decomposition, the mineralization process begins. Groundwater containing dissolved minerals, typically calcium carbonate or silica, percolates. I love that word.
Oh, yeah, I love a good percolator.
Through the
Give me
sediments
some coffee.
and starts to replace the original organic material with minerals. This process can be incredibly slow, taking thousands of years.
Millions.
thousands to millions. Of
Millions.
years. Yeah, what a time separation there. Could take a month. It could take 50 billion.
We don't know.
Hey, when will you be at the
somewhere
podcast? Could be
between.
5 minutes or 10 million years from now. I don't know.
I just don't even know.
But I can tell you, you're going to have some decomposition.
Yeah, so those are, I mean, we got more points than that. So,
Sure.
hang on, let me read. So I was percolating.
So I'm reading over this. So you got 5 points of fossilization.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So because you have decomposition,
Right.
that means it's gone.
Yep. According to the fossilization process, right?
Well, when did it come back and become, I had dug up a dinosaur bone.
When did it come back? No, that's talking about the organic material. So
okay.
flesh.
Okay.
that
Oh,
sort
getting
of
off the
thing.
bone. Okay. Gotcha.
Off the bone. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
So
just
number 4
all
is
these
the
things-
complete fossilized.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean,
Gotcha.
with that, the reason I brought this up is because in order to create a fossil,
Uh-huh.
there has to be an event that would create this fossil to happen. So the main takeaway was number 1 was the initial burial.
Burial. Okay.
When an organism dies, it needs to be quickly buried by sediments such as mud or sand. So that's
Just fast.
instantaneous. Instantaneous has to be buried.
The flood.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
Pompeii.
Think about that, though. Think
Yeah.
about that.
The flood. That was a global catastrophe on this planet that is, we have evidence for.
Yeah, dude. And there's a lot of evidence for it. So for these dinosaurs to die, to start the beginning process of fossilization, there had to have been some sort of complete upheaval of the earth, soil, sand, where all of these dinosaurs were buried at one point in time.
Sure.
Well, what about that?
What would cause that?
What about that one event? They said the asteroid hit the Earth
I mean,
and blew it all away.
Armageddon
potentially.
Yeah.
with Bruce Willis.
Yes. How about that? Armageddon and Deep Impact came out at the same year. Wasn't that kind of weird?
Yeah.
Well, we got 2 movies about an asteroid coming, and both of them somebody had to go up and drill on it.
Got to drill him.
Kind of weird.
Drill it.
Anyway.
Nuke, boom, blow it up.
But that's their theory of that took out the dinosaurs.
Yeah, the
right.
comet. Yeah.
So my
Was it a comet or an asteroid?
Same thing. They're
Anyway.
not. They're not. But
But
So-
would that have done it? Because we're talking about the global flood as well.
global flood. There had to have been something without, like I said, again, I'm trying to play devil's advocate. So there was something
Something happened.
that
significant.
caused
Yeah.
these things to happen. Now you throw in the fact that there's like sea animals on top of mountaintops, fossilized. You throw in
What?
the fact, yeah, dude, yeah, most of the sea animals are found on land.
You're kidding.
Dead sea,
I didn't know that.
fossilized up on land,
Hmm.
in various.
Well, there's your
positions.
proof right there.
I mean, unless an asteroid flung them out of the water, I don't know.
Well, there's the flood right there. It died.
I don't know. Now maybe both of them happened. Maybe there's a flood, an asteroid hit. I mean, who knows what
Yeah.
that actually took place.
Yeah, I wasn't there. But here's one thing I want to say. Since what you're talking about is fossilized bones and something happened, like we're finding bones. Are we finding human bones
Yeah.
that are fossilized?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to see it because I see Dr. Alan Grant out there uncovering the bones. And how do they know when they hit it? Like, oh, this is a dinosaur.
The
Oh,
structure.
this is a human.
so that you can tell by.
So it's all intact all together.
So actually, I was watching this documentary. It's on Netflix.
Of course.
they just found this new tribe that they're cave dwellers. They're somewhere in Africa, I believe, South Africa. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But it is in Africa. And they were cave dwellers, and this supposedly was the first human or human sapien or some kind of evolved human,
Homo
Okay.
sapien.
right? That had burials, had the art of burials.
Okay.
Because before then they would just people would just be dead, right? And they would just find them. There wouldn't be some kind of ritual. But
They would just leave them there?
yeah,
Okay.
but now they've found these cave dwellers to have these remains in like these burial sites that looked like a ritual or a religious it's some type of way.
Some type of ceremonial thing that they put in
and
these
so
caves.
the bones were super small and they didn't resemble any human of now, right?
Okay.
Or within the last 40,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
So supposedly they were the less evolved type of.
You said these bones were fossilized?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and so this it was very interesting because they found these bones and they were all the skeletons were all intact.
Really?
Yeah, their skeletons were all intact, and so I don't know.
Was this like an excavation and they found these inside of like a mountain?
So they found this cave and they were like, okay, there was writings on the cave writings and all that stuff that you usually find when you find caves because you know, when you go down to Branson, that's what you find, right?
Right. There's a cavern. You got to see the cavern.
And so they started to excavate, look some more, and then they found these remains, and then they kept on finding some more and more, some more, and then they found a burial site, and they're like, well, they thought, is this a burial site? Because
this is interesting.
Yeah, and then they've been digging. I think
when you watched it, were they like out exposed or were they inside the rock, fossilized?
They were exposed.
Really? Like just late?
Wait. Some were exposed and some were not.
I'm trying to fit what you saw into what Joey just read about.
Some were exposed and some were not. Some were fossilized. I would say most.
That's what I was trying to say,
of them were fossilized, and the other ones were not.
And they're dating these 40,000 years old.
That's an arbitrary number. It was a while ago. I don't know the exact dates.
Right.
I didn't finish the documentary.
Yeah,
because it was boring.
You know what? Actually, yeah. No, because
this show's boring. So no, I'm just
No, it was it was good. It just they.
That's interesting because I was trying to fit what you said, like all the things that had to happen for those bones for them to find them.
Let me continue, guys, and let me see if I can find the name of the show.
Pull it up. Let's see. I mean, but yeah, if it falls into those categories, bro.
I like what you wrote here. It's a rare event.
It is a rare event.
Fossilization is a rare event.
It is a rare event for sure. So we kind of talked about a little bit of like you talked about briefly of like the evolution and
kind of where they're coming from.
The gaps of like species, right? So everyone's trying to find the missing link.
Oh yeah, that half monkey dude.
Yeah, between human and ape. Everyone's like, we got to find this. It's somewhere.
Yeah, if that's the key, there should be one walking around right now.
Somewhere, unless it's Bigfoot. I'm just
right, or there should be a whole group of people that are like, oh, that guy's still evolving. Look at that.
Yeah,
he's.
But that doesn't
keep
exist.
going. You're gonna make it.
And on top of that, too, it's not just humans that there's a missing link. It's every single species. There's a missing link between the other.
Okay.
So it's like, again, working out of the paradigm. There's no connections between any one of the species together.
Okay.
Missing links everywhere. It's not just humans.
So because you got something?
Yeah, so it's called Unknown Cave of Bones, and it's a paleoanthropologist. His name's Lee Berger in South Africa. Him and his team proved that the world's oldest graveyard is found, and it's not human.
Oh, ancient aliens.
No, it's human, but it's not a human sapien. It's supposed to be a less evolved form. So they found the first less evolved human doing burial rituals in this cave. So I don't know all the types of the less evolved.
Is that the missing link?
No.
Like
okay.
Those, I don't know, what are they called? I don't know what they call.
Homo sapiens?
Yeah, but there's a less evolved there's in the evolution timeline, there's a less evolved version of us and a less evolved version of that one and less evolved version
homosexuals.
Of that one.
Yeah, there's Homo sapiens.
What?
So anyway, it's what it's called. Unknown Cave of Bones.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
I mean, they have
just to see.
And I was right, it was South Africa.
They have skulls of Neanderthals and stuff.
Oh yeah, with the big long thing.
Yeah, they got like shorter foreheads. I mean, that sort of thing. They find other bones of human beings. So there's definitely other types of humans out there. I mean, that's just. But again, that
it's the kind.
So it's
the kind.
It stayed in that kind, just like the Chihuahua and the Great Dane.
Yeah, Lee Berger finds the world's oldest graveyard, and it's not human. Him and his team can prove that ancient, small-brained, ape-like creature practiced complex burial rituals. It will change everything we know about the humanoid or the hominoid evolution and the origins of beliefs.
So right there, he's saying that is the missing link. Because he's saying they're ape-like.
Yeah. It's this is what they. So it's a very interesting
That is
documentary
interesting.
because they were trying to prove evolution,
Yeah.
and show
Right.
how even those less evolved hominoid ape-like people were trying to get to humans to this stage that we're at, and they could show even at those ape-like versions of us, they were still trying to be religious and ritualistic in their ways. And that's kind of their way of saying, look, religion isn't a real thing.
Isn't
that's
the way, yeah.
Right. It's been thought about since they were ape-like creatures.
So how does he know that this all, like, what was his
It was
proof?
big leaps. They took big leaps.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got to watch it. The big leaps. And I'm like, I don't know. man.
Well,
I see
that's my
what you're-
question is, like, how does he know, one, the ritualistic, I mean, how does he think it's ritualistic burial?
Because the way the graves were set in that specific cave.
Yeah.
And then they correspond with the cave writings or lack thereof.
Yeah.
They were
He's
just
drawing.
Like there would be,
he's-
here lies Billy Joel.
sure.
Billy Joel.
But it was like a drawing of
So he's drawing.
rock
He's
and
drawing conclusions,
right, and they're
based
big
on
leaps.
the evidence he sees now that he didn't observe.
and
then.
the way the skeletons were placed in the specific site and nowhere else, and how they had to get these skeletons there. Like you would know, like let's say you were working for the mob, right? And
Yeah.
the mob had a specific grave site where they threw everybody in, right after they whacked them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would see
Jimmy
just
Hoffa.
a pile of bones,
Yeah.
right? There. But if there was somebody that was putting a graveyard, you'd see there would be structure.
Yeah,
Right.
you'd see every
And so
4
that's
feet
how it
apart,
was. There
yeah.
was structure.
Hmm.
But anyway,
Interesting.
yeah, it's an interesting.
I see what you're saying though. By that model,
Yeah.
they have to be like this guy. So in his mind, he's like, "There's no way I believe in the biblical worldview.
Right.
I believe in this over here. Therefore, I'm going to search
Yep.
until I die for
Confirmation
that type of
bias.
stuff that
Yeah.
will fit into my
Yeah, it's
model."
confirmation
And
bias.
then he's
We all do
dating
it.
it.
Yeah.
He's dating, again, carbon dating, 40,000 years, whatever the age was, blah, 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 which, like I said earlier, is proven inaccurate. So it's all speculation, man. Carbon dating's been proven to be wildly wrong. Let me read one of these.
It's very strange that they in the scientific community, and there's probably splits in the community.
That's
that
why they're all
just-
theories. I mean, that's why they can label it theories, because it's not concrete, and they can't say it's concrete, so therefore they say it's theory.
Yeah, but then it's being taught like it's fact.
Then
That's
it's like it's
that's
factual.
weird.
Yeah.
That's very strange.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, like I don't know. Like I said, man, it's all
It's
your
all
paradigm-
relative.
It's all some
Your-
kind of game.
It's all,
The paradigm of how you interpret information changes everything.
Sure, absolutely.
Everything. So,
I'm going to hit on that like my last point, what you just said, the interpretation.
so I want to talk briefly, like I was about to get into the gaps of the fossil record. So we were talking about the missing links.
Yeah.
So, from a biblical perspective, God created all forms in a relatively short period described in Genesis. Each species was created after its kind, and these distinct kinds do not transition into one another over time. So,
Right.
so far, that is more factual than evolution. We can prove that.
Right.
There's proof of that.
Yeah, we can observe that today.
Proponents of a biblical worldview argue that the lack of clear transitional forms in fossil record aligns with the biblical account of separate creation events for different kinds of organisms. In this view, each kind was created distinct from the others, and there should be no expectation of finding transitional fossils between them. Instead of viewing the stasis of species in the fossil record as evidence of evolutional stalling, proponents of biblical creation see it as evidence of design and stability of each created kind. Each kind was designed to be well suited to its environment and has remained relatively unchanged since its creation, other than what we spoke about of selective evolution,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, so some proponents argue the rapid burial of organisms during catastrophic events, such as the global flood described in the Bible, could explain the sudden appearance of diverse life forms in the fossil record during the Cambrian explosion. They suggest that the floodwaters and sediment deposition were responsible for preserving the organisms as fossils, which I am 100% behind. So to kind of go into more of the creationist side, there is a few, like I said, there's scientists that have found tissues. There is proof of some sort of, there's proof for a flood. Now, a global flood, there's proof for a global flood. You can see the same like rock structures on one side of the earth and the other side of the earth. Okay, so there's a documentary, and all of our listeners, I suggest listening to it, especially if you're a creationist. I honestly was not until I saw this film.
Oh, really? I need to check this out.
This changed everything for me, because they go into every aspect of science and just logically tear it down. So the documentary is called Is Genesis History. So it's a documentary film released in 2017, directed by Thomas Purifoy Jr. In this film, it explores the topic of creationism and historicity. I can't even speak. Of the book of Genesis from a scientific and biblical perspective. The documentary features interviews with scientists, theologians, scholars who presented arguments in favor of literal interpretation of Genesis, particularly focused on the creation account and the global flood described in the Bible. So let's go into some of those. One of the doctors on there, Dr. Andrew Snelling, he discusses the presence of polystrate fossils, which are fossils that extend through multiple layers of sedimentary rock. He argues that these fossils provide evidence of rapid deposition, as it would be highly unlikely for a tree, for example, to remain upright and gradually fossilize over millions of years. So with that being said, from old Earth view, the layers that we see on the Earth all happens over millions of years. Okay?
Right.
For a section of Earth to build up 2 feet, according to old Earth view, if we're sticking with the constants that we have now, would take thousands of years
to build up.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's a few feet. How tall is a tree? 100 feet?
Sure.
150 feet?
Yeah, it ranges.
So what he is saying is like there's a tree. And this is all, most of the stuff that they talk about. The Grand Canyon's basically our best proof for, 1, a global flood, and 2, for the age of the Earth.
Yeah.
So this is in the Grand Canyon. You can see this stuff. What you'll see is there is sections of rock that are basically built on itself. And it's built on itself depending on the weight of the mud or debris and stuff like that. So obviously the heavier stuff's going to sink to the bottom. And as it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, it's going to build up to the top.
Yeah.
Okay?
Gotcha.
There's the Grand Canyon, and then there's someone somewhere over in Australia showing the same signs. The signs of basically a lot of water running through this area instantaneously, proving basically some sort of global flood.
And not only the Grand Canyon and that cave you described in Australia, or that the canyon, but all the caves.
Yep.
All the caves.
All the caves.
Really?
Every single cave.
Has that same thing?
The concept of
Gotcha.
the reason why the cave structures are formed this way and the specific minerals and rocks that are found in caves, because of the erosion of the water to create these caves. And if you find these caves on land, let's say the most complex cave system is in Kentucky, these are the reasons why, which you just described.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so, and again, looking from the old Earth paradigm, they would say that there was a little bit of water running through this over millions of years. But the tree, fossils being stuck in between quote-unquote sedimentary layers that took millions of years to happen, this is all disproving that. What it looks to me, and what this film is basically proving, is that this was a large-scale flood event that happened instantaneously, burying everything, tearing the ground up. I mean, quote-unquote, everything required to have a fossil, a flood of a massive proportion would do that.
Oh, okay.
It would
Gotcha.
It would take ocean animals, put them on mountains.
Instant death.
Instant death. It would literally, I mean, it's like the whole earth was just churning and everything was just getting spit out and thrown everywhere. I mean, it was probably a horrific sight, dude. It probably was.
I would thrive there.
Hey, that's a great point, because we should see thousands of human fossils, because there was only one family on the ark that survived.
Yeah.
Right? All those people on the earth died instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had to have those. Maybe the conditions weren't all there. Maybe somebody just drowned and was floating. That wouldn't have fossilized. They would have had to probably get slammed into a mountain, covered up very quickly. Inside the mountain, all the mud, the minerals, and then the fossilization. Where's Rachel?
Well, and then you think about the weight of a dinosaur as well. I mean, a dinosaur bones,
Yeah, just getting
they're going to sink to the bottom. Human beings, we're buoyant. We'll float to the top. I mean, we're getting churned around, slammed into stuff. Most of the people probably slowly drowned as they were trying to swim up to the Earth's surface or the top of the
climb
water.
up into a tree.
Yeah, climbing up into the trees. So you can, I mean, a lot of that can be
How
explained.
crazy was that?
Dude, I would have been nuts, bro. They said that there was a some scholars believe that there was like a what do they call it, over the earth,
A firmament.
over the earth. What I
Well,
believe,
it says that in Genesis.
it does.
Okay,
There we
but
go.
so
The waters of the deep
I
burst up
believe
from
that
the crust of the earth and broke the firmament, and that's where the rain came from.
And they never saw rain before that point. I believe that the firmament is the hole in the ozone.
I believe that too.
I don't have any scientific proof for that, but it makes the most sense.
but think about this. You said where was everybody in
Yeah, all those fossils.
right? But now think about that. Now you said Noah and his family were the only ones on the boat, correct?
Right.
Now put yourself in those shoes. Noah's
Which
shoes.
one? Noah? Okay.
Right. All you're hearing from the outside are screams and people banging on your ship. Let us in, please help us.
Yeah.
Kids wailing, mothers wailing,
Yeah, just
screaming because they want help, and they see people dying and drowning.
Yeah.
right.
And what would you like? You would put yourself in those shoes, like, dang, I can't. Probably should have been.
I told you. Y'all laughed at me
Yeah,
for years. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Sail forward.
It was I'm sure it was a crazy thing.
Well, he couldn't do anything because God shut the door.
Yeah, it was done, bro.
It was welded.
It was done.
You think God had like laser eyes and shut it up?
I don't
That's
know.
a little sacramental.
It's kind of crazy to
Sacramental?
think about, though. I mean, I visualize that
Sacrilegious.
event a lot.
That's what I was trying to
Because,
say.
I mean, it was designed, one of the things it says in the documentary is it was designed to kill everything.
The flood?
The flood. Everything. The stuff under the ocean, on the land.
Really?
Yeah, dude. It
I thought all
murdered
the fish made it.
No.
How is that possible?
Like sharks and stuff. They
How
could
did it-
swim.
I'll have to watch the.
How
Yeah,
does
I'll
a
have to
flood-
watch it.
How does a flood kill the stuff
Well,
underwater?
well, sure, they're already underwater.
Well, think about it, dude.
Okay.
Where did all the waters go?
Where did it go?
Yeah. They seep into the earth.
It evaporated.
It evaporated.
You mean after the 40 days?
I'm sure some of it
I'm sure it like
evaporated.
evaporated and like went down.
What's
your theory?
They're saying that the mountains were covered with water. So
Yeah.
we're talking hundreds of billions of gallons of water.
Right.
Hundreds of billions of gallons.
That is strange to think about. That there was like this massive amount of water.
Kevin Costner.
Just yeah, but not even that. You're not even seeing land. It's just this massive water covering the entire globe, like this big ball of water.
Yeah.
Isn't that Neptune? No.
Yeah.
Neptune's just water.
And then
Yeah. So what are you
eventually,
saying? How did it go away?
Here's how it went away.
Okay.
The earth, so Pangea, the earth
Oh, yeah.
opened. It sucked down into the
Oh,
earth.
the Mariana Trench.
It sucked down into the earth. All of the sea creatures, everything pulled down like they're going down a drain, dude. Sucked down into it.
Okay, so
which
and that's when
explains
the
a lot.
continents split up,
Mm-hmm.
and they are like they are today.
Which explains a
So
lot
the Mariana
of like,
Trench, the Meg, got down there, that big shark.
which again leads to like the center, Hollow Earth.
Right.
What kind of creepy stuff is living down there, bro?
That's interesting that the water seeped down there, and think about when the water hit all that hot magma,
Mm-hmm.
the steam.
Yeah, fossilized, bro. Just immediately.
Just yeah, all the events are there.
So real quick, so we talked
Interesting.
about large flood event, the sediment layers, all that stuff. Here's the big takeaway. Here's what
Okay.
blew my mind, right? Dr. Marcus Ross, paleontologist, right?
Okay.
He found soft tissue in dinosaur fossils. Soft tissue.
Soft tissue.
Discusses the discovery of soft tissue and remnants of some dinosaur fossils, such as preserved blood vessels and cells. He argues the presence of such delicate structures challenges the conventional understanding of fossilization, which typically involves the replacement of organic material with minerals over long periods of time. So remember what we read before.
Right.
12,000 years
Yeah.
is what it takes for tissues to be completely gone.
Decayed, yeah.
Completely gone. So that right there is the smoking gun. If he's finding, so yes, you can, so scientists, this caused a lot
But
of.
that's under the assumption that the fossil that they found was a dinosaur.
It
Correct.
was a dinosaur.
So that's under the assumption that that fossil they found was a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you know that?
Because it was a part of a triceratops horn, which they uncovered the entire triceratops face and
No, it's
horn.
not.
Oh, they did?
No,
they did.
stop
What if it was like a rhino?
I don't believe any of that, man. None of that.
See,
Triceratops? Bro.
you're trying to fit it in your own paradigm, bud.
Bro, you just no,
Wait a minute.
man, you just talked about the Earth opening up and going into the middle of the earth, and you're saying that mine is whack? No
Wait a minute.
No, let's think about it logically. dude. Where would
So
the
you're
water
saying
have gone?
is this on the documentary?
It's on
The
documentary.
Triceratops? Okay,
Yeah,
I gotta
it's
go
a
find.
big
I gotta
horn.
watch this.
It's a big horn, which he, like I said, he broke it down. He pulled tissue. You can visibly see him pulling the tissue apart. He's like, this is still pliable. If this is 50 or whatever, 68 million years old, this tissue would be absolutely obliterated.
Gone.
I don't believe him.
So scientists with older view would say, oh, conditions must have been perfect to preserve this
To
tissue
preserve that for millions of years.
for millions
Yeah.
of years. He found it in the middle of a desert, bro.
Was he
Triceratops?
Yeah.
I gotta go watch
Jason
this.
doesn't believe
Bro,
it.
I don't believe in dinosaurs like that, dude. I just don't, man.
I don't know.
You believe
man.
they make the bones up to see to think what you think they look like, or are they actually intact bones laying in the earth like you always see? I thought they put the bones together. And go, oh, here's what this thing must have looked like.
yeah.
Is that the way they do it?
Sometimes.
Most of the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Most of the time, they'll find a fragment and be like, "Ooh, this is a."
Well, this is the
So if
femur bone.
they
This is
find
Leviathan.
somebody's clavicle, right, a portion of the clavicle, let's say a rib, and then your pelvis, right, then they can reconstruct. They can hypothesize a reconstruction
Because
of,
they've seen you.
right, because of the dimensions of the pelvis, your clavicle, right. They can
Okay.
do the width of the shoulder width. They can now do the dimensions of your height,
Right.
your width. And then you have a pelvis, and let's say they find something.
Because they
let's just say
observed what a
right.
skeleton looks like in today's world.
Right. So, with that being said,
We
we've
don't
never
know.
seen a dinosaur.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's a great point.
We've never seen it, dude. I mean, what's the deal with the dinosaurs? Why do you think they're? Why is it not okay to have dinosaurs? What's going on?
Yeah, why is it not okay?
Why are you so against it?
Dude, all these. Okay, so you're telling me that all. So they aren't real, man. No, you're telling me all these four-legged, two-legged reptiles that are behemoth animals
Yeah.
are roaming about on Earth,
Yeah.
and all different types, from flying to under the ocean,
Yeah.
to all
meat eaters, plant eaters.
right,
Yeah.
and they just are coexisting with
Humans.
Listen,
And then dude
Have
says,
you seen Jurassic Park?
Listen.
That doesn't
And
go
then-
well.
let me explain something.
and then
to
you build a boat and say, let's kill all these things.
Let me explain something to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go back to the Nephilim episode, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
take a travel back.
Let's
okay,
go
let's go
back.
back in time.
We're changing DNA. We're having
What
sex
were
with
these?
humans.
What were these little boogers doing when they came down here, bro?
Who?
They're the fallen angels.
Oh, yeah, they were. Let's destroy the image.
They're defiling the image of creation completely.
Okay.
Completely.
Sure.
From
Sure, yeah.
everything. Like Jacob said in the episode, you go in this camp. There's giants in this camp. You need to destroy everything: men, women, children, animal. Kill them all.
All.
Everything.
I get that, but just so that's
So what are you saying about the how are you
he's
correlating
saying
that?
that they kind of mutated the dinosaurs or mutated animals, and then that's how dinosaurs became. That's your theory.
That's my theory.
But if that's the case,
a good
then
one.
why did they do it specifically with reptiles? Why didn't they do it with, I don't know,
Birds.
birds or
A cat.
Thank you.
They did. That's what I'm saying. They're finding feathers on dinosaurs now.
Okay,
right?
but so
Pterodactyls, cat,
dogs.
same thing. Who knows?
But
Who
so we're saying that we've only found evidence of this abomination that's been created, quote unquote, dinosaurs, but we haven't found they were like, you know what? I don't want to have sex with that cat. That's
All right,
that's too far.
Let's bring it back to Genesis, bro. What was Satan categorized on? A reptile, bro. A serpent.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about more about Genesis.
We're getting some theories out.
Yeah, because when we talk about Genesis, we have to read it in the light of the context that it was written. It's an allegorical type of literature, right? That's how
what I've heard.
Yes, that's how the Jewish, that's the writer, whoever it was. That's how that was written. And
What do you
that's
mean? Explain that to me.
the type of writing it was, right? We'll go into more detail after the show, and I'll explain to you because that's.
Sure.
But
That
anyway,
needs to be a show.
it does need to be a show. So a lot of people take it literally, but it's a type of literature that it needs to be written. So, for example, if I write a poem, you're not going to read it like it's a
Historical event.
right.
Okay.
Right.
I disagree 100%.
Sure, and that's fine. You can disagree.
Well, it actually one of the guys, they have a guy on here that talks about he's a biblical scholar, and also he reads Hebrew, and he explained to us basically in the documentary that it is written as if this happens, and that's why it's written the way that it is. It's because it's this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. It's all written linearly.
But
Hebrew.
that's not how the Jewish people told stories. They didn't tell stories of like literally this and this. They were stories, just like how every culture tells stories. They tell it in that way, like here's an event that happened, but not as point A, point B, point C.
They didn't, because the genealogy was written in that same way.
The genealogy,
This guy begot that guy begot that dude. It's a list.
right?
Yeah.
But that's a different type of literature, though.
I don't know, man.
You have to. Okay, so after the show, I'll refer you guys to a specific documentary or book that will help you guys understand.
Oh, I hope you'll see the light.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I mean, I'm stubborn, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, man. But from everything that I've read, the book itself, especially Genesis, is written in a form that it's listing a sequence of events out as they happened.
Yeah, I get that.
Maybe we need to do another episode on
Yeah,
that.
we'll do one called the Genesis Effect.
That'll be a hot topic.
Well, I like
Me and
that,
Jason
man.
are about to be getting heated.
And that's fine. And I don't think it is.
I think at this point, like you said, it's not going to. It doesn't upset my belief in the eternal Savior that is going to put me with my Creator.
Right.
That those things are like, but it's just something that you go.
And we both could be wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
I mean, that's. I think that's more of the.
I think.
Yeah, we're just three weirdos on a mic.
Yeah,
though.
three. I think what it boils down to for me is I have to have solidly something that I can say, this is what I believe in.
You said
And it can't be,
you got to have a creed, bro.
it can't be, this is what I believe in. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, what? Wait. Because if that is, it's just shattered and I have nothing to stand on.
Yeah, and
I have to have something to stand on.
The only thing you have to stand on is one thing and one thing only,
What?
baby. That's the name of Jesus.
Yes.
Amen.
Everything. No, seriously. Yeah,
that's right.
I'm going through
That's
a
true.
phase where a lot of my ideas are getting challenged, right? And a lot of my structure in my faith is getting challenged and stretched and pulled. And I believe God gave me an illumination a couple months ago that
Illuminati?
Yeah.
it doesn't matter as long as you believe in the one thing that matters,
Me.
and that's Him.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
That-
right.
That's what it all
And I go
says.
back and I say that, and then I was reminded. Do you think the thief on the cross knew about creation?
No.
Yeah. How about, how
Did
about
he
that
know the
theology?
did he know about the 3 points of, death, burial, and
Hermeneutics?
resurrection? No,
Yeah.
no, he didn't. All he said is, remember me.
Yeah. Remember when you go into paradise.
Remember
today.
me.
And I agree with you. I mean, it's ultimately making it in heaven. You know, you trust in Jesus and you go. But these things that we talk about today, you know, this kind of goes with our last episode, man.
Mhm.
It's the war on education. It's like a lot of people will take creation, the look of creation, like even me until recent years, a 6-day creation, I'm like, those guys are stupid, you know? And
Yeah,
what
how's
it is,
that work?
what it is ultimately is it's an attack on what the word says. Because the word
that's the ultimate thing. It's the word of God.
Yeah. So like whether you interpret a 6-day creation, it's like ultimately what you're doing is you're trying to, like you said, you're not reading Genesis in a list, but ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to fit scripture into the world's view. You're doing the same thing as a scientist. You're saying, this is what the world says happens. This is what the Bible says happens. How do I fit the Bible into the world? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean, but everyone
of the
does that.
mysteries.
So, for example, anybody that reads the Bible, anybody that reads the Torah, anybody that reads any biblical literature, they are still doing that. They're reading it in the lens of which they see it.
Yeah.
Right. And so biblical scholars that have interpreted over thousands of years,
Fossils.
thousands of years have done the same thing.
Yes.
So when we continue on, let's say for Catholicism, right?
Yeah.
They have a specific interpretation, right? So do fundamentalists, right? So do people
Calvinism. Arminian.
We all do. So we all come in this preconceived notion. Whether we say, we can't sit here and say, hey, you know what? I'm completely unbiased. That's a load because it's not true.
Yeah.
Because we all come from different backgrounds, different teachings, all these things. So I think it's a farce to say, hey, you know what? The way I'm interpreting is the correct way. There is a consensus amongst Christians that believe certain things, like the fundamental, biblical truths, right?
Yeah.
Those are things that we could say, you know what? If 7,000 different Christians come out with the same thing, right, and the same interpretation, and come in agreement, that is something we can be like, yeah, that's true, right? But if there's these differences in interpreting,
aspects. So the deal is aspects of creations, the Nephilim, those things that are like pre-Genesis 6, all of these things, like you said, they don't matter to the grand scheme because we weren't there. So the issue is like sticking to one side, the old earth or the creation side. There is really ultimately, like my goal today was to just show people that there is another side. And that there is problems in the old earth side. There's a lot of them. I would say consistently that the creation idea, there's more proof
for creationism. Yeah, absolutely.
Which goes against everything kids are taught in school. It's what they're continuing to teach. It's this old world paradigm where this goes against that. Now, like I said, as far as like Christianity goes, it's not going to change anything. Ultimately, there's like this. This is all speculation here because no one was there. I wasn't there at the creation time. Adam was. God was.
Yeah, Jesus was.
Jesus was there.
Yeah, he said he was the Word.
He was the Word, dude.
He created everything.
So
and nobody created anything but him.
But is this going to be the hill that I die on?
Sure.
Absolutely not. If I get to heaven and God's like, hey, dude, it's actually 13.8 billion years old, I'm not going to be like, all right, send me to hell. I'm out of here. This place sucks.
Hey, what was over the 6 days thing? I was joking around.
Yeah, it's actually, 1 day.
He's gonna say you thought one day was the same day for you and me.
What are you talking?
What? No,
dude, I'm God. Control time.
What is time?
Yeah. So anyway,
I'm gonna close with this. Come on up, Tina.
Time. Play us a little diddle on the piano.
Who has the most evidence, creationist or evolutionist?
Creationist.
Okay, so this is an ongoing war between creation and evolution. Christians are always looking for the, quote, strongest evidence for creation, wanting to have, quote, our facts and evidence to counter theirs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not a matter of evidence versus ours and theirs, because all the evidence is interpreted. And all the scientists actually have all the same observations and the same data available. Creationists and evolutionists, Christians, non-Christians, all have the same evidence and the same facts. Nobody has anything different.
Sure.
Think about it. We all have the same earth. We all have the same layers. All the same animals, all the same plants, the stars, the facts are all the same.
Yeah,
the difference is the way we interpret the facts.
Paradigm, baby.
And why do we interpret facts differently? Well, it's because we start with different presuppositions or starting points. All right. So then once you have a presupposition, that becomes the basis for other conclusions.
Right.
All the reasoning is based on presupposition. This becomes especially relevant when you're dealing with past events. So it's not a battle of sorting out different evidences. It's really a battle over the same evidence. The difference is whose interpretation you're going to trust. Will you start with an all-knowing God who's always been there, created everything, and cannot lie? Or would you dare start with a fallible idea about the past from sinful men who were not there?
Yeah.
Boom. I think that
Genesis.org.
Yeah, and that's where basically most of my research, and I think yours too, Answers in Genesis, that is a great resource to go to. I mean, they have tons of articles about the old earth, not the old earth, about just holes, and all the evidence and the facts. Like I said, it's all the same. It's about the presupposition. If you and that's why I said I have to have something to stand on.
Sure.
If that's my starting point, if somebody comes at me and goes, well, here's my starting point, we can't even have a conversation because we're not even talking about the same thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just like abortion. If somebody comes to me and they say, well, life begins when the head comes out of the vagina, we can't even talk about this because I believe it's at conception.
Yeah.
So we can't even have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the starting point anyway.
I get what you're saying.
Anyway.
Wow.
Well, that was a good one.
We got into it, man.
That was a good one.
I'm sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hands are sweating. Man. I got to kick my shoes off again.
Oh my gosh. That was evolution versus creationists. Of course, all the resource notes will be on our blog. You can visit our website on bottomofthat.com, and we'll have our show notes and resource material. And from there, you can find us. Also, all of our social media platforms as well, like Instagram, Facebook, and X, aka Twitter. If you're listening on YouTube, which we haven't got a strike so far.
Yeah.
Actually, the second strike dropped off, so we're down to one strike now. So we have another 90 days before we get, but we're close. If you're listening on YouTube, Rumble, or BitChute, and you like this episode, do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. That's how you get the algorithm of those videos served up to other people that want to hear weird ideas like we're talking about on the show. If you're listening on any other podcasting platform, please follow, turn on notifications so you never miss when we publish an episode. I wanted to say this. Since we started the show, I am flabbergasted. I wonder if that's the right word.
Probably.
We almost have 400 followers on Spotify.
Wow.
Just Spotify.
Wow.
That's somebody that has looked at the Spotify mobile app and said, hey, I like this show. I clicked follow. I clicked the bell. So every Friday I get a notification that these guys are on the air and ready to talk about weird stuff.
That's awesome. Dude.
I'm flabbergasted by that. I thank you for all the support.
Yeah, seriously, guys.
And for all you creationists out there, I hope you liked this episode. But if you did not, I thank you for listening this long. And I want you to tune in next week. You might hear Joey say this.
Spumoni.
Oh, what is that?
I don't know.